Hey Erika, I'm going to teach you a couple things of how to graph on the calculator, okay? Okay, so to turn the calculator on, obviously, you have to press on down here. Down there. And so it turns on. So this is the home screen. You see the cursor blinking up there. Here you can do things like 7 plus 6 equals 13.
15.
And so on. Okay, so now what we'll do is to show the graphing function. So you see this button here, graph. We'll press that and see what happens to the screen. It brings up this menu down here. So if on your, on your homework, let's say it's asking you to graph y equals x cubed plus 5. Then what we do is we press this button right here, which corresponds to that button in the menu, and it takes us to the input, the function input here. So you see down here it says x and y. Those are the variables that we're going to use for typing in our input equation up here. So I said x cubed plus 5. So let's say x, that's how we'd write x, and then to raise it to the third power, we'd say...
You said 5.
And then, huh?
Oh, no, I think so.
We'd raise it here, and then we'd say raised to the third power, and see what it shows up there. Raised to the third power, and then plus 5. So we'll add 5 plus 5. And that's what it looks like up at the top. So now at this point, if we're ready to graph, then we want to access this top menu. Because right now the active menu is this bottom one, which is in these white buttons. So to go back to that top one, we'll go back to graph. We'll hit graph again, and it'll bring it down. And now we're ready to graph. So this button down here corresponds to that. So we'll say graph, and the calculator graphs it. Yay! Okay, now suppose it's too far and let's say the graph is too up close and you really can't see anything. Then we want to zoom out. So here we have the zoom feature, and it brings up this bottom menu down here. And what you could do is, now that this menu down here in white is active, you see that little arrow? That means that there's more options for this menu available. So to get those other options, we hit this button here, more, and then more options come up. So what we're interested in is fitting the curve in this window up here. And so we'll say Z-fit, zoom fit. So we'll hit that, and it regraphs it. It looks the same because it was already good to begin with, but that's just a feature that it has in case, when the first time it graphs it, you really can't see much. Alright, the other thing now that we might need is if I move these arrow buttons right here to the side, you see the cursor? It moves the cursor based on where it is on this plot. So right now it's at x equals -4, blah, 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 and y equals -171, blah, 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 blah. But what if we need to get like a particular value on this curve? If we need to find out where that point on the curve is, or where that point on the curve is? Well, luckily, we could use this trace function right here. Now to get back up to that menu, we have to hit graph, and it comes down, and then we'll say trace. So now our cursor is fixed on the curve. So if we move side to side using the arrow buttons, it stays on the curve. So now you can say, okay, at -7.7, the y value on this curve is -455. This is just an example, and so on. Okay, I think that's about all you're going to need for now. But that's the way it works. Ta-da!
Bye.